we're going to talk a bit about Pierre Trudeau. Okay, let's get started. Pierre Trudeau first became the parliamentary secretary to the Prime Minister and later on became Justice Minister. As Justice Minister, his improvement of divorce laws and liberalization of laws on abortion and homosexuality brought him national attention. In 1968, Lester Pearson announced he was going to resign as soon as a new leader could be found. Pierre Trudeau was persuaded to run because of his outstanding work as Justice Minister. Pierre Trudeau was elected into Parliament and became Prime Minister April 20th, 1968 till June 4th, 1979. During his time in office, he made major impacting decisions that affect our lives today, so much that he was re-elected as Prime Minister again from March 3rd, 1980 till June 29th, 1994. Time for today's
historical significance.
Pierre Trudeau did many things in his life for which he was remembered and admired for, including liberalizing homosexual laws. This historical event changed the future, our lives. Pierre believed that homosexuals had just the same rights as straight people did when it came to marriage. He actively defended the discrimination that they received and decided he wanted to do something about it. It was the biggest change in the criminal code since the 1950s. He explained that the government should not have a say in what goes on in your bedroom, whether you're straight or gay. But don't worry, he had limitations to when he said this. What's done in private between adults should only concern the criminal code when it becomes public or relates to minors. In 1969, it was a bright and very sunny morning when the Prime Minister of Canada announced that Canada decriminalized homosexuality. And from there, my friends, things only went up. Things that affected people like you. Living today, all because Pierre Trudeau decided to stand up for something he believed in. Things like the Immigration Act removed homosexuals from the list of inadmissible classes. The federal court lifted the country's ban on homosexuals in the military, allowing gays and lesbians to serve in the armed forces. The federal government passed Bill C-33, which adds sexual orientation to the Canadian Human Rights Act. In July 2005, Canada became the fourth country in the world after the Netherlands, Belgium, and Spain to legalize same-sex marriage nationwide. This was a huge event for Canada because it made it a safer place for the citizens who were homosexual to live. We finally became a country with fair and equal rights for everyone to live in Canada, for people who are immigrating and for the citizens of Canada. Pierre Trudeau took a chance and decided that a change was needed to be made for us to be able to grow as a country. And by taking that chance, we did just that. We grew as a more considerate country for people to live in. Pierre Trudeau had many changes occur in our country, including the first official implementation of bilingualism. Let's take a look into the past.
Okay, men, today marks the first day of the Official Language Act being in effect, so let's take charge. There's going to be lots of petitioning against all of this outside the building, but we have to stay strong.
Yes, sir.
Hello, this is
Prime Minister of Canada.
Speaking. Yes? Meeting at 1 o'clock? Sounds very good. See you then.
Tell us, Mr. Prime Minister, why is bilingualism going to be effective in Canada?
Mr. Speaker, bilingualism is something that will benefit us all in many ways. Our education, our culture, and our equality. I am a bilingual man, and it has helped me to be able to reach out and communicate with both the French and English people in our country. This Official Languages Act is going to change our country as we know it. And this is just the thing. Our country is a changing, growing country, and to be able to do so, bilingualism needs to take place. Although lots of Western Canada has been opposing this, we need to remember again that Canada has more than just English people living in it. To help French citizens feel like they are more part of our country, we must first perceive them as an equal, which they are, just as much as English people are.
Mr. Prime Minister, how is this fair?
This is tremendously fair, Mr. Speaker. We are allowing English-speaking and French-speaking people to have the same opportunities as each other. Consideration plays a big part in this Language Act. We are considering the outlook of the French. This legislation requires all federal services to be offered in French and English. I know that there are many controversial people who believe that this is wrong, but my plan is to lead after my endorsement of Lester Pearson's Royal Commission on Bilingualism and Biculturalism, and hopefully successfully have 2 official languages in Canada.
Any final words, Mr. Trudeau?
Bilingualism is not an imposition on the citizens. The citizens can go on speaking 1 language or 6 languages or no languages if they so choose. Bilingualism is an imposition on the state and not the citizens. Whoa. Pierre had many accomplishments, some would say. Others would not. One of the changes he made while in Parliament was the laws of abortion. In the past, it was illegal for women to be able to have an abortion, no matter what the circumstances were. By passing this bill, it allowed women to have the decision of whether or not they wanted to keep the child. Now, this wasn't as easy as it sounds. There are many arguments and disagreements about whether or not this was an ethical decision. All in all, Pierre worked hard to assure that this, in fact, was a very ethical choice.
Bye, Abigail!
Well, children, this act created open doors for women who have been raped or had unplanned pregnancies, making fairness for the victims, the unintentional mothers. When it comes to the topic of abortion, it can be a touchy subject. Many people believe that it is unethical to murder an unborn child. But it's more than that. It's protecting the accidental mother's dignity from humiliation. Nobody wants to be reminded for the rest of their lives that their child was brought into this world because of a raping incident. Not only is dignity an ethical dimension of permitting abortion, but Pierre also thought that honesty was an aspect of it as well. Honesty is ethical towards yourself when it comes to this situation. You're owning up to the fact that you're not physically, financially, or even maybe emotionally capable of taking care of this child. Pierre believed that when you are put in a picture that is not only a bad environment for you, but for your child, that it was just not safe. Another ethical dimension that Pierre believed was fairness. Think about this.
If your mother was, let's say, an alcoholic or a drug addict, just a very unfit parent to be in a position to have a baby, an abortion would be the right, fair thing to do. The child would first and foremost be coming into a deprived but a life with fetal alcohol syndrome, or even worse, premature. How's that fair for the child?
It isn't!
That's right, children. It's setting them up for failure.
Pierre Trudeau left a legacy that will never be forgotten. After 16 years as Prime Minister, Pierre resigned from politics in 1984. And on September 28, 2000, Pierre passed away, just short of his 81st birthday. He suffered from Parkinson's disease, but the official cause of his death was prostate cancer. His passing came with tears and memorials all over the country. Now, abortion, bilingualism, and homosexual laws are not the only things that this man accomplished while in Parliament. There are way too many to list, but if you'd like to find out more about Pierre Trudeau's achievements, I'll post a link on my website. That's all for me, folks, but tune in next week when we talk about how Harper led us to debt.